blah blah fuckity blow my brains out blah. Hey guys, this is my first ever collaboration that I've ever done with another YouTuber, and I'm doing it with this amazing fucking badass fucking bitch named GC, and her Instagram and YouTube is called Ready to Glare, and I'll like link all her shit down below. Like, definitely go follow her. I can't hype up this girl enough. Like, she was probably one of the first people that started watching me and like really reaching out to me, and at first I kind of just thought like she was any other like fan or just girl that watched my shit, but after she commented on my stuff like a few times, I realized that she like had her own cool Instagram page and she had her own YouTube, so I started to stalk the fuck out of her, and I just loved her immediately. Like, she has all these dope ass tattoos, and she wears the coolest fucking clothes. Like, she has the dopest style, she does the coolest fucking makeup, she wears cool fucking wigs like Kylie Jenner, but like way fucking cooler than Kylie Jenner. She's fucking so cool, like as cool as I wish I could be. So I'm extremely blessed and honored that she thinks I'm cool enough to do this video with her. She posted a story time about a guy who thought she was single because of all her tattoos and stuff, which is just ridiculous, but that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about when people kind of make judgments off of you based off of your appearance, or just make assumptions about you because of maybe the school you go to, or if you're blonde, or the money that your parents have, or whatever, just things like that. It's really easy for people to label you and put stereotypes on you without even speaking to you. I'm going to kind of shift the collab into a different direction, and I'm going to talk more so about little instances of situations where people have made assumptions about me, or like the most common labels I get placed on me because of my appearance or because of my personality or whatever it is. And then I'm going to talk about my thinking behind this, like my advice for you if you get labeled a lot, my advice for if you are someone that labels other people a lot. I think that labeling people is really detrimental and definitely a problem in today's society, and I know that it's hard to not make assumptions and stereotype people because that's kind of just in the back of our brain as it is, but I definitely think it's a problem. So if you are new here, you will learn that a lot of my videos are about advice, or giving you like morals of the story, or just trying to teach you a lesson to kind of help you be better and do better in your day-to-day life. I am in no way perfect, but I have made a fuck ton of mistakes that I then come to this YouTube channel, discuss with all of you, and tell you what I've learned from it in hopes that you guys can learn too without making the same mistakes that I have. So definitely go check out her story time, and then I will be here to give like my opinion on situations like this and people doing things like this, and just hit y'all with a bunch of life advice. I'm going to talk about, first of all, the like #1 labels or like stereotypes that people have placed on me for whatever reason and why people have done so, and then I'm going to talk about my issue with this. But definitely some of the top things that people like to say to me or claim about me is that I'm privileged because I'm like some white girl, that I'm dumb because I'm blonde and because I go to FSU, that I'm a slut because I go to FSU, I'm a slut because of the pictures I post on the internet or the way that I dress or whatever else, I'm a rich bitch because of the money that my parents have made throughout their life. All types of things like this I have heard literally starting at like 15 years old, which is like crazy because as an adult now and you look back at yourself like 14, 15, you're so young and like your brain is still learning so much and you're soaking up everything people say to you like a sponge. And for people to like label you at such a young age as like rich or entitled or stupid or whatever, like that is so fucked up. Looking back now, I'm fucking angry for my younger self because it's fucked. Definitely in high school, people would make so many comments to me that like I was rich just based off of my house. Like, my parents do pretty well for themselves, and that's not because they were given anything. My parents worked their ass off and were broke ass young people until they were like in their mid-30s working their ass off to start a company that ended up doing really well, and it was really successful. So no one gave them anything that they have, and just because my parents worked their ass off and like made good money and now afford like this nice big house or whatever, that doesn't mean anything about me. Like, I'm not over here getting handouts. I don't have like a trust fund lined up for me to get at a certain age. Like, my parents firmly believe in like you working for what you have. So like, while I have had a very like privileged, fortunate childhood, like I don't get anything just because my parents have a certain amount of money, you know? So I remember in high school, whenever I would have birthday parties or whatever, kids would come over and they would just see this house that's bigger than like most people's houses. And like granted, when you're younger, like when I was younger, I'm not thinking like, oh, my house is bigger and cooler than other people. Like, I don't give a fuck. I just think a house is a house. I would go to people's houses and never think like this house is too small or this house is this, you know? So I was always taken aback that people would come to my house and make comments about like how it was so big and extravagant, because I was just never thinking that way, and I just always found it like pretty odd. But I would always be like, oh, okay, that's cool, like people like my house, like I guess that's nice. It's better than people saying they don't like my house, you know? And then I just remember like after people started to come to my house a few times, people at school, even people that didn't know me that well, people that I definitely wouldn't invite to my house because like you're not my friend, would like make comments to me about like wanting to come to my house or hearing that I had a cool house, or people that even like were my actual friends, like in my friend groups who like did get to come to my house and did get to hang out with me, would start to make comments like, oh, like Brighton's family can probably afford this because of the house they have. I can't remember the specific instance, but there was something that we were supposed to do or whatever, and someone kind of made a comment like, oh, Brighton's parents should pay for us all to go because they have so much money. And first of all, I remember being really uncomfortable with these comments, even like 14, like 9th grade in high school, being like, what the fuck, why are people making comments like that? Especially because my parents have always taught me, like, you don't make comments about people's finances. So let me know who the fuck raised all these people I was hanging out with. I would just like kind of laugh it off, but I also felt super uncomfortable, and I also never understood why people were just like making assumptions that my parents were like so rich just based off of the house that we lived in, because like a house is a house, you know, like you don't know the details of the house, like maybe this house was left to my parents like by some older family member that passed away, like you don't know anything, and to be like, oh, because of this house they must have like billions of dollars or something, like, you know, like younger people like are extravagant in their thoughts, and I was just always like really uncomfortable with that, being just knowing that people were making assumptions about me and trying to like put labels on me as being like some super rich girl because of the house that I lived in. I also get told quite often, even still now as a real ass adult in college, that people think that I'm dumb. Like even people that I'm good friends with, they'll be like, oh my god, like what's your GPA, or just ask me a question that's kind of gauge like how intelligent I am. And once I tell them like, oh, I have over a 3.0 GPA, I blah blah blah, they're literally like, really? Like you're smart? Like fucking with me? But it's also rude. Like you're just saying that because like I'm a girl and because I have blonde hair, which by the way, my hair's not naturally blonde, it's like brown, okay? I dye it this way, thank you. And hair color has nothing to do with your intelligence, thank you. But because I'm blonde and because I'm a girl and because I go to Florida State, like people just assume that I'm super stupid or something. And also because of the way I speak, like I don't think I have a Valley girl accent, but sometimes it's just like if you don't know me and you hear me talk, especially because I say like a lot sometimes, people are like, oh, that girl's dumb, and you don't want to be called dumb, okay? That's probably like one of the most hurtful things that people have labeled me as, is stupid. And once I tell them like, no, actually in high school I was the biggest nerd ever, I didn't smoke or drink at all, I didn't have sex until right before I graduated, I didn't have any friends, all that I did was IB, which IB is like AP on steroids. It's called International Baccalaureate, and you are working your ass off, and if you graduate high school with an IB diploma, it says something huge about you. So I was like the biggest nerd ever in high school, I got an IB diploma, and because of my IB diploma, I was granted in-state tuition at Florida State. Like, you think my parents would spend money to give me out-of-state tuition? Fuck no. Like, regardless of my parents' financial background, my parents don't want to fucking spend money on sending me to a school out of state when they could send me to UT or Texas State or any other good school in fucking Texas, you know? So I had to work my ass off to be given the opportunity to even go somewhere like Florida State. And yeah, maybe Florida State isn't as great as UF, which is another thing people like to throw in my face. Like, oh, you go to Florida State? Like, why wouldn't you go to UF if you're so smart? Actually, fuck you. I did get into UF, but UF didn't give me in-state tuition, and I'm not gonna pay UF buttloads of money to go to their school when Florida State is just as incredible, if not better, in my opinion. So people will also tell me that they think I'm really stupid. Even like my good friends that know me will be shocked when they find out that I'm at FSU on in-state tuition. It's like, what? How? Like, what do you think about me? Like, when we hang out all the time and we have intelligent conversations and like you know me so well, you still think that like I'm actually dumb, literally because I'm a blonde girl? Like, come on, like educate yourself. Like, you're doing yourself a disservice by judging me like that. I also get told a lot by people that they think I'm some super liberal, which I think is so fucking ridiculous because I'm from fucking Texas. I don't want to discuss like political views on here, but if you had to guess in which way I was raised being born in Texas, do you think it was liberal? So I just think that's really funny that people like to throw at me like, oh, like this fucking stupid liberal, like that's what happens when people go to American universities, they get brainwashed by the professors into liberal thinking, blah blah fuckity blow my brains out, blah. I just think that one is like astronomical. Like clearly you haven't watched a single one of my videos, you don't know anything about me if you're just going to label me as some political party, which is just ridiculous. Like I've never in my life met someone and been like, oh, that person must be a Democrat or something, you know, like what the fuck. So that's something that people like to label me as, which I know GC, who's ready to glare, who I'm collaborating with, she told me that a bunch of people assume that she's just some super weird out there liberal because like she has a bunch of tattoos and stuff, and it's like, you can get tattoos and you can express yourself in any way you want, and that doesn't mean XYZ about you. Like tattoos don't mean this. Dressing like this doesn't mean this. Like things don't have as much correlation as people like to believe that they do, and when you start to think that way, you make an ass out of yourself. That's why people say assumptions to assume makes an ass out of you and me. It's stupid and it doesn't do any good for anybody. I also get that I'm probably some super slut, like probably have sex with anyone I meet because of the pictures I post on my Instagram, and because I go to Florida State. So there's this huge like stigma that like, oh, girls at FSU, they're party girls, they sleep around, like they just do a bunch of drugs and will fuck anyone, blah blah blah. No, mini little story time. This past semester actually, there was a guy that was like kind of pursuing me, and he went ahead and invited me on his date function, and I really wanted to go because I haven't really been on a date function with a guy who like actually wanted me to be their date. I've only gone on random date functions with random fucking people. He wanted me to go and I wanted to go, but I knew that he would have this expectation that we would sleep together at the end of the night, because that's just kind of how it goes at Florida State. Like if you go to a date function with a dude and y'all are getting hammered, the guy's definitely hoping that you're gonna fuck him. So I had to literally message him and be like, hey, like I would love to go, it sounds like a lot of fun, but I'm letting you know that like if I went with you, we would not have sex at the end of the night, and I know that I'm sure you want to have sex with your date, so I'm just letting you know so you have the opportunity to ask someone else that you think would have sex with you, basically, because I'm saying straight up that I'm not gonna do that. And he was like, wow, like I really appreciate like your forwardness and your honesty, and he was like, that's totally fine, like how about me and you do something else that's like not a drinking thing, there's no pressure of hooking up, and then we can get to know each other better. So like he was very respectful about it, which is very shocking. Like I was completely taken aback, and I did end up hanging out with him, and the most that we ever did was kiss, you guys. Like I ended up hanging out with him 2 or 3 times, and we like would hang out and we were still getting to know each other, and he always knew that like sex was not on the table, and if it was to ever happen, it would be completely up to me. And I just wanted to share that because that's kind of a recent story. Like that happened this past semester, that just happened, and people just like to assume that because of my pictures or whatever, like I'm some huge slut and I don't care about who I have sex with. Like no, I legitimately like put off hooking up with this guy so much to the point now that like him and I are definitely just friends and there's no hard feelings, but I just think it's funny that because like we never fucked, now we're literally just friends. But that is a great way to weed out like who actually cares about you and who's just trying to fuck you. And the last thing that I get labeled the most is people think that I'm really mean, and this isn't me being like, oh, I'm so pretty, like I'm one of those pretty girls and pretty girls are mean. Like I don't mean it like that at all, but like if you go on my Instagram or whatever and you see pictures of me like done up to go out, like when I have my hair straightened or curled and I have my makeup on fleek and I'm wearing like a cute little outfit or whatever, people, when they see me dressed up like that, some people look at me and think, oh, that girl's going to be mean. I don't know if it's because I have like a resting bitch face, maybe my eyebrows are a little aggressive, maybe because I'm blonde, maybe because I go to FSU, maybe because certain people do think that I'm really pretty, and usually people think that pretty girls are going to be mean. I don't know what it is, but the amount of times that I've met people and gotten to know them, and then after they've gotten to know me, have been like, no offense, but I actually thought you were gonna be a huge bitch, and I was super scared to approach you, super scared to talk to you, like blah blah blah, super scared of X, Y, and Z because I thought that you were going to like be rude to me. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like no, I'm not rude at all. Like I am not mean to people. Like I don't want to be mean to people. Like it takes a lot for me to like be aggressive of any sort with someone because I just want to keep the peace. I'm like all about namaste, y'all. If you're new here, I'm all about the namaste. I have countless stories of times people have been like, I thought you were gonna be a huge bitch, and then I wasn't, so joke's on you. Those are like the #1 labels that I get thrown on me, and what I just want to say about this is that judging people by how they look or whatever it is that people judge you based off of, their hair color or their education or the money that their parents have or the house they live in or whatever the fuck it is that you're judging people off of, I just want you to know, if you're someone that judges, you're doing such a greater disservice to yourself than you are to that person. So at the end of the day, the label that you put on someone else doesn't mean anything to them. If you go around thinking, oh, that Brighton girl's a dumb bitch, like I don't want to be your friend, that's only affecting you because you're just always going to see me and be like, dumb bitch, dumb bitch, dumb bitch, and then you're blocking yourself from getting to know me, getting to laugh with me, hang out with me. Like you're putting up blockers that are only affecting you. Like, I don't know that you think I'm a dumb bitch. Like, I'm still carrying on with my day-to-day life. It doesn't affect me. But you're greatly affecting yourself because you now have this negative opinion of someone that probably wouldn't be negative if you took the time to have a conversation with them or get to know them. There's this quote that I love. It's like, how would you treat people if the whole world was blind? Or like if the whole world was in the dark? Like, imagine if every time you hung out with your friends, it was pitch black and y'all couldn't see each other. And every time you went on a date, it was pitch black and you couldn't see the other person. Like, how would you treat people if there were no looks to go off of? You didn't know if someone had green hair. You didn't know if someone had tattoos. You didn't know if someone had face piercings. You didn't know the color of someone's skin. You didn't know anything about someone just by looking at them. All you could do to judge them would be to have a fucking conversation with them, internalize the things they said, and then make a rational judgment based off of the things that you learn about them in due time. Like, I always think about that. I think that's a really interesting thing to think about. I think the world would be a much better place and a happier place if the whole world was blind, because we would only be able to make judgments off of people based off of who they are on the inside, and their outside factors, their beauty, their whatever, would literally mean nothing. When you want to go to like make a rash judgment about someone, maybe without knowing them so well, really think like, what would I actually think about this person if I didn't know what they looked like? I personally really try to think really deeply about who everyone really is on the inside before I make judgments about them. Like, you might meet someone for the first time and they might be really cold to you, like act uninterested in speaking to you, and then you might be like, wow, like that is not a friendly person. I probably wouldn't be friends with that person. She's kind of a bitch, whatever it is. But you have to think about outside factors, okay? Like, maybe that person that seemed really cold and like giving you the cold shoulder, didn't want to talk to you, whatever, maybe that person just found out that someone in their family was diagnosed with cancer and they'd been crying for hours, and now we're just out and about in public and we're just trying their hardest to like put on a brave face and be out in public, and they're trying to have conversation but they just can't put their heart into it, and then you just go off and write them off as a bitch. Like, you have to understand that everyone's circumstances are always different, and I try and think about this a lot with reality TV. I love reality TV, and reality TV loves to edit things to make people look like they hate each other, or this fight's happening, or this girl fucked this guy, or whatever, because that makes for great TV. And when you're on a reality show, you sign your soul to the devil, basically. They have the right to edit anything you say and do into any pattern that they want for the best ratings. And that's just a good way that I practice this, is I'll watch something on reality TV and be like, oh no, she didn't. And then I'll literally be like, oh, no, she probably actually didn't. Just think of people as reality TV. Like, think about all the outside factors that went into this interaction you're having with someone, that maybe the interaction is being edited in a way in your head that isn't so pretty, but maybe there's a whole bunch of outside influences that are affecting that person or affecting you. And there's just so much going into all of our interactions that it's just so silly to pass judgment on someone or write someone off or label them as this or that because of something you've heard or something you've seen. And just remember that it doesn't feel good to be labeled. Everyone that's watching this video has had some type of label thrown on them that's been absolutely false. And just think about how shitty that's felt. Like, I know how shitty it's felt to have all the labels that people have thrown on me, been put on me. It doesn't feel good. And just treat people the way you want to be treated. If you know that you don't like the way people have labeled you, really try your hardest to not label people in the same way, because you're just doing yourself a disservice. Like, you're blocking yourself from potentially having an amazing relationship because you're not allowing yourself to get to know someone. Like, if you put me and GC on paper, GC is the girl that has the Ready to Glare channel, and you just put us side by side, like this blonde ass bitch with her ass hanging out, like party girl, whatever you want to label me as, and then you see this girl with her cool hair and all her tattoos, you'd probably think that we would not like each other. You'd probably be like, oh, those girls would not be friends, they would not get along. That blonde girl would probably judge the fuck out of all of her tattoos. That girl with the tattoos would probably think that blonde girl's way too basic to be her friend. Newsflash, me and GC are like actually fucking friends, okay? If we just judged each other based off how we looked, we would not be able to have this like really dope friendship that we do have now. And the last thing that I want to say about all this is, when you mislabel someone or think negatively of someone, especially if you start to spread that information, like, oh, I think Brighton's a dumb bitch, so I'm gonna tell all my friends that I think she's a dumb bitch, so everyone gets on my side and everyone thinks she's a dumb bitch, whatever the fuck it is. You are kind of defaming someone's character and reputation, which is a really fucking shitty thing to do. That's why in the court of law, there's this term that gets people sued all the fucking time. It's called slander, which is when you slander, as in fuck up and belittle someone's name, reputation, whatever, because of things that aren't necessarily true. When you do things or say things that are slanderous, you can literally be sued for fucking up someone's reputation because of your big fucking mouth and because you were spreading things about them that weren't fucking true. That literally is a thing. People have been sued for millions and millions and millions of dollars for misrepresenting someone, misrepresenting their character, making them look a certain way that isn't true to who they really are. It's bad. It's a problem. So if people are getting sued over it, you have to realize that on like a smaller level, that's definitely something that is going to fuck up relationships, friendships. It's going to put up blockers. It's going to stop people from interacting with certain people. And it's a huge problem. And I would just say to all of you, really try and live your day-to-day life being the best that you can be. And by doing so, you should try not to judge others. Pretend like everyone you meet, you're meeting them blind. Pretend you don't know what they look like. Really don't judge them based off of their tattoos or their appearance or how blonde they are or what school they go to or whatever the fuck. Really just get to know them for who they are. Because at the end of the day, we're all just souls inhabiting flesh vessels. We're all souls that have lived many, many lives before the lives we're living now. All of our souls have probably met each other on some playing field or another, in the stars, in the galaxies, whatever you want to believe. We are just souls inhabiting flesh vessels, and our flesh vessels mean nothing. So really try and get to know someone as a soul speaking to another soul, and I think that you will be a lot happier and you'll have much better relationships in the future. I love you guys. If this is your first time watching me, I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe if you're new here. I love you guys. I love GC. Go check out her channel, and I guess I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!